first prominent riders from the West Coast. Her abilities made her a mainstay on the U.S. national team, winning individual and team gold at the 1963 Pan American Games. Then, along with teammate Kathy Kusner, riding as part of the first U.S. Olympic team to include women at the 1964 Summer Games in Tokyo.
The Olympic team, when we went to Tokyo, what am I doing here? Wow. That was something else, that was pressure.
After returning home from the Tokyo Games, Mary wed teammate Frank Chapeau, beginning a partnership that added fuel to each other's careers. As Olympic teammates again at the 1968 Mexico City Games, and subsequently as breeders and trainers who contributed prominent horses to the U.S. national team for decades to come.
I think as you get older, you start to hear a little bit more what an impact that she has made on the sport and how many things have changed since she made some firsts. I've always had a lot of pride in her and what she's achieved. I think along the way it's only grown through the years.
Well, I think I'm still living the dream, enjoying it, just being here. Glad that I can help the sport continue. Just to be up on that wall and say, that was me, I did that.
Well, we hope that you enjoyed a beautiful presentation, and we are going to call upon the Chapeau family here in just a moment. Of course, the great family, Laura and Wendy, and the entire group of Jack Russells. You see the dogs all over the place from the Chapeau family. And in fact, here's a little unknown fact that I just found out about today, that Mary was featured in the recent publication for the United States Dog Agility Association. That's quite a compliment, really. She said her dogs had baths every morning before they raced. So I don't know what that means either, but anyways, that was very special to the dogs as well. Now, one thing you'll know about the Chapeau family, and of course Mary is, I would say she would understand what I'm going to say. She holds the record for being second in line in a buffet line at any banquet there was, behind Captain Frank. Right, Mary? So, finally, before they come up, you have a book here tonight on the history of the Cleveland Grand Prix, an American show jumping first. Just like your teacher would say in school, if you would turn to pages 53 and page 58, you'll see Mary's picture. She was the winner of the very first Grand Prix ever held here in the United States, the Cleveland Grand Prix. She pocketed $1,200 for the winner's share of that Cleveland Grand Prix. That was pretty good, wasn't it? Back then it was pretty good. Anyway, we have the daughters, Wendy and Laura, Mary Chapeau, and a tribute to one of our Hall of Famers. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chapeau family. Mary's going to play, as we played, of course, Rod Stewart with Forever Young, her theme song. Here is Mary Chapeau, and her daughters would like to say a couple words as well.
Step right up. All right. Well, I have to say I'm flattered and a little bit awed to be honored in such a way tonight. It's fabulous. And I thought that I wanted to say a few words to you. And I carefully wrote down my little speech and then found that my eyes won't let me read it. So I've enlisted Wendy and Laura to read what I wrote, and here they are. Okay.
tried to follow when I can. I am so honored to be included as a member of the Show Jumping Hall of Fame. It's a special group and so part of our history. As for my personal history, here it is in a nutshell. As my family migrated to Southern California from Minnesota when I was quite young for my father's business, it didn't hurt that my mother was from California originally. My first real introduction to horses was at a summer camp, after which I had no doubt that riding was for me. My mother was delighted, as she had wanted to ride, but her own mother was petrified of the idea. She lost no time in finding my younger sister and I a lesson barn close by and a $300 off-the-track thoroughbred to own, who came with a caution: don't jump it. Not good at it. I, of course, had to try it, but they were right. We progressed up the lesson ladder, ending up at the Flint Ridge Riding Club, with whomever was the current resident professional. We moved to a house with a tiny barn for our two ever-patient backyard horses who were cared for by ourselves. Our parents were laid back, or maybe didn't know when my sister and I disappeared out the back gate of our property to gallop up and down the Los Angeles County drainage wash. No saddles, no bridles, in our best imitation of the Foxfield drill team. I did learn to stay on bareback pretty well, though. My younger sister eventually moved on to tennis, while I continued at Flint Ridge with Jimmy Williams as the current trainer. Jimmy had many sale horses, and I got to ride a lot of them, learning much about horses along the way. I was lucky enough to find Tomboy when I tried her at Dave Kelly's in New York as a suitable replacement for my injured equitation finals horse. She was not suitable for equitation, but outstanding, I thought, as a possible jumper. In 1961, I rode in Bert Denemethy's screening trials, offered that year nationwide. I was selected for a 2-week training session at Gladstone, and based on that, was invited to ride on the team at the Washington International Horse Show. What an eye-opener that was for me from California, with President and Mrs. John F. Kennedy in attendance. Needless to say, I was pretty impressed at 17 years old. The rest is documented history, but in the meantime, my mother was busy finding an in-foal thoroughbred mare for tax purposes, who later produced White Lightning. Who would ever think that could possibly work? A mare bought from a magazine ad, raised by novices, us, ending up going to 2 Olympic Games, Mexico with me and Munich with Frank. That was a lot of dreaming and believing on all sides to achieve that. Show jumping is a game of extreme highs and unfortunate lows, but boy, is it worth it if you have the desire and work ethic to make it happen.
With apologies to Josh Groban for messing with his song lyrics, I want to end with my wish for all. If you have a dream, go chase it. If you feel hope, don't waste it. Tomorrow is undecided. Never take a single success for granted. Enjoy, appreciate, and get on to the future. The story is yours. Go write it. Thank you.
See if we can get all in here. Okay, for the Shippo family. Hang on. Thank you very much. Great. Thank you very much. Now, we do have plans for the future. You enjoyed the tributes. We're going to make a lot more of those with our inductees and put them in the history books. So we hope you'll be able to share some in the future. I'm not sure if many of you saw the T-shirts out on the patio, again from the Blast from the Past, but I do have one shirt up here that really is a blast from the past, and it is from the Peter and David show's Run for Fun in Tampa, 1984. I know we had a lot of these runners were in here, 1984. So it's not for sale. My wife continues to ask, why do you save these things? I got piles of T-shirts, but anyway. Okay.
I want a picture.
We need a photographer.
Is there a photographer in the house?
Here, let me take my glasses. You got it, Annie? There we go. Yeah, okay. You can't have it. Well, it's time, ladies and gentlemen, to push the button on the Wayback Machine. This is Marty's exciting moment, and when called, we'll ask you to stand and head over, excuse me for pointing, but for the area where you had your photos taken as you came in, we'll ask you to head over there for a group photo. Now, the photo will be available on Facebook and on our webpage and so forth, so no need for all of you to travel over that way. Vicki and they'll get things all squared away with a beautiful photo from our Hall of Fame inductees. Little music, Jocelyn, I think we can hear. There we go. We heard that music the last couple weeks from Milan, and it's time to introduce and welcome the inductees of Parade of Champions. Now, Mary is heading over that way from the class of 1992 from California to New Jersey, part of that winning family of show jumpers, the Olympics worldwide Grand Prix wins, and big-time Nations Cup wins. She is proud to say she is 82 years old, Mary Chapeau. From the class of 1998, still at home in Germantown, Tennessee, connected with some of the great ones, Calypso, Valdalois, Radner II. Her amazing resume includes an Olympic gold medal and being the voice of NBC at the Olympics, Melanie Smith-Taylor. From the class of 2005, he has been in the winner's circle at major shows worldwide and at the Kentucky Derby. The toughest course he ever jumped, he told us, the Montreal Olympics in 1976. The horse's name's a Bon Retour. Chef, the legendary jet run will always be remembered with his big-time family man. Let's welcome Michael Matz. From the class of 2013, a huge supporter of the Hall of Fame, an Olympic course designer, jump builder. He builds to entertain the spectators and challenge the riders, still retains the title as the #1 Elvis Presley fan in the world, Steve Stevens. From the class of 2015, do you remember the horses, the Jones Boy, Governor, Norin, just to name a few, world champion gold, 3-time Rider of the Year, and as a student, you're always pressed to be the best. U.S. to France and back again, Katie Prudent is with us here tonight. From the class of 2016, do the horses Livius, Starman, Eros, do they ring a bell? Introducing Olympian, Chef D'Keep. She once carried the name of the Girl of the Golden West. I used that a couple times. And another top instructor, always with a smile, Miss Ann Kurzinski. The class of 2017, some of the great horses, Allegro, Johnny's Pocket, Irish, I Love You, and Glasgow will always be associated to this Olympic bronze medalist nicknamed Stormin Norman Delajoyo. The The class of 2018, he's a world-renowned chef as he continues to show the world that the U.S. has the best horses and riders in the game. An Olympic rider, Olympic coach, California-based Robert Ridlin. Class of 2019, she still lives and breathes the world of horses 24/7. Olympic gold and silver on her resume. The always entertaining Leslie Howard. Chase the Clouds, Albany, McLean, Friar Tuck. You remember them all. From the class of 2019, well-traveled, well-respected as an official. Also a federation officer, a rule guru, and a show manager. His early days of the Ingate will always be remembered. And as we reminisced just a moment ago, he was a head writer and producer of the Peter and David Show, David Disler. From the class of 2020, native of Miami, a prime example of huge success in a small package. She started off with a horse named Puck W, an Olympian 10-time Rider of the Year, and still the top comedian on the tour, Margie Engel. From the class of 2021, a first name recognized around the world, from Black Gold to Authentic, just to name a few. This Wisconsin native represented the U.S. in 98 Nation Cups. Olympian BZ Madden is with us here tonight. Not to be confused with Breezy Johnson from the Olympic gold medal. Class of 2022 is represented here tonight, has devoted over 60 years to equestrian sports, a course designer for the World Cup Finals and Olympics, and awarded accolades worldwide, including a Lifetime Achievement Award. Horses Mystic, Ico, and Heatwave, they all belong to Linda Allen. From the class of 2024, everyone's favorite who loves her horses like no other. Olympic gold, primetime victories worldwide with the early horses such as Simba Run, Liberty, recently Bisquetta, Balatanu, and again, her proud mom is with us here tonight. Carol, how about a big welcome for Laura Kraut? Okay, Marty, come on up. One more to go.
Okay, got it. From the class of 2018, the voice of American show jumping, a big hockey fan, mediocre golfer. He carried on a family tradition at the microphone, North Carolina resident, chairman of the Show Jumping Hall of Fame, and our host here tonight, Peter Doubleday. It really is my favorite moment. I mean, that is the history of our sport, standing right there. We're glad we have a lot of younger riders here today, too. They obviously know about the history of the sport, but to have you all in the room with these legends, it's great that you're here and great for all of us. All right, Peter's on his way back, and I did not knock the thing down. And now we will move on to more highlights.
Thank you very much, Marty. We'll get our inductees back to their seats. And we move on now. We have 3 special presentations that remain on our program here tonight. The next award coming up is called the International Award. And it honors some of the all-time greats. Together, we care for our sports history and help keep the legacies alive to inspire future generations. Now, personalities like the one that we are about to recognize are the inspiration of a lifetime. Born in August 24, 1968, Tipperary, Ireland. Came to the U.S. in 87, summer camp riding instructor in Vermont. Later worked for the Chapeaux and on to worldwide glory in Nations Cup, European Championships, the Athens Olympics, Irish Show Jumper of the Year, just to name a few. Let's take a look up on the video screen as we're about to honor our International Award recipient.
Every generation produces competitors, but only a few rise to define an era. Kevin Babington was one of them. From the moment he entered the ring, Kevin rode with intent, a rare blend of precision, feel, and fearless commitment. Representing Ireland on the world's biggest stages, he carried not only national pride, but the expectation that comes with excellence. In 2001, Kevin Babington delivered gold for Ireland at the European Championships, a defining moment that placed him among the world's elite. 1 year later, at the World Equestrian Games, he proved it was no coincidence, finishing 8th individually against the strongest field in the sport. Consistency, composure, class. Then came Athens. At the 2004 Olympic Games, under the brightest lights and highest pressure, Kevin delivered a 4th place finish, a performance that confirmed his place among the sport's great competitors. Across North America's most legendary arenas, Kevin Babington made history with victories at the Hampton Classic, the Grand Prix of Devon, and the Pennsylvania National Horse Show. Kevin is also the only rider to go 3 for 3 at the Silver Oak Jumper Tournament, creating a three-peat at the storied horse show. These weren't just wins, they were moments etched into sports memory. Kevin rode with confidence, earned through discipline, with courage shaped by excellence, and with a respect for the horse that defined every great partnership. Today, we celebrate a career built on excellence, resilience, and impact. A rider who elevated every win he entered, a competitor who set the standard, a champion whose legacy endures. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming Kevin Babington.
Kevin, stand by just for a sec. Got a couple more words as we welcome all of you. Look out there. Those are all your friends. From the horses, cruise missile to Carling King, his family with us, Diana, along with Gwyneth and Marielle. He did come from a family of 11 kids back in Tipperary, Ireland. This is the way to say thank you and salute you. And as you please be seated for a moment, Kevin would like to say a few words.
Good evening, everybody. This is very special to me. There's so many special things I need to talk about tonight. But one of the very special things is to follow Mary Chapeau. Somebody I have the utmost respect for, and I had the pleasure of working for a little over 2.5 years. And during my time with Frank and Mary, and the girls were a little younger than me, I think I was there for a good 1.5 years, and I was struggling with one horse, and I said to Mary, could you give me a hand with this horse? And she gave me one lesson, and I'm like, why did I not think about this from the day I landed here? I don't know if Mary remembers that, but a few pointers, and I still use them in my lessons to this day. But anyway, congratulations, Mary, and I'm proud to follow you. To be inducted into the Hall of Fame, as an international rider, following, Ian and Rodrigo and Mario, and to be picked as the next in line means so much to me, from the bottom of my heart. And there's so many people to thank along my journey, and I just want to start, I rode for Ireland, and I was very proud to have the Irish flag and travel all over the world jumping internationally. But I did it on American-owned horses, and I had American and Irish people supporting me in the background. I had American staff. Everything that helped me get to the top of my career came from the support of Americans. And so I just want to let you know I'm the most proud Irishman, as all my Irish friends will tell you. But none of this could have happened without America. To the owners, thank you for trusting me with your horses. Without you, I could never have made it to the top of the career. And not just the owners that got the best horses that brought me to the top, but the owners all the way along, starting out with my first Grand Prix horses. And when I landed in America, I was very inexperienced. Like Mary had mentioned, she had started at a riding school, I started at a local riding school, got into Pony Club, did mainly eventing. Then I got the opportunity to go to do something that was called the Irish Certificate of Equitation Science at Iris Kellets. And halfway through, the new government that was in power in Ireland pulled the funding, and it turned over to the BHSAI, where I learned to be a riding instructor, which I never in a million years thought that's a path I would go, but it paid off in the long run. And and next I have to, thank the grooms and the staff that worked so hard for me behind the scenes. And without them, none of us would be anywhere in our career, right? And I know Lee McKeever is getting honored later on tonight, and all of the grooms looked up to Lee, and if we ever had any, and riders, and if we ever had any questions, he's the first person we'd go to, and Lee, I really appreciate that, and we all love you for that. You were never afraid to share your knowledge. We came over much around the same time, right? And also to my family, and especially to Diana. She always, I had a dream. I always, the kids would joke to me about this. They always found notes in my notebook. I always set goals along the way. Never in the million years thinking I was going to get to the Olympics, but Diana was there when we started out when I left the Chapeaus, renting a small stable in New Jersey and selling fox hunters, you know, and doing anything it did to get into the show jumping ring. There's a lot of 6 o'clock mornings where I was leaving for hunting and she was running the barn, but just have a family that supported me along the way and really believed in my dreams and supported my dreams. And I remember another time coming out of the ring after having two down in one of the $1 million classes, and I had a sour puss coming out of the ring, and Marielle and Gwen up on the wall saying, "Daddy, Daddy, that was great, that was great." And all of a sudden, I was the happy man again, you know. But having that family support was amazing. And, you know, just to give a little bit on my history, like I was saying, I started at a riding school. I did a bit of eventing. I got to ride out some race horses. I loved horses from the minute I sat on one. I think I was maybe 9 or 10 when I first started taking riding lessons, and that was it. I was hooked. And then I went to Kellett's, came to America, trained at a summer camp, came over here with John Brennan, and I think we both did fairly well for ourselves. Landing in here with a couple of $100 in our pockets. Then then one of the best things that ever happened to me is I got to go to work for Chapeaus, and I got a lot of time in the ring riding green horses, race horses that were sent in on training, and just what I really learned from there is letting horses think for themselves and not getting over involved, and just, I came out of a little bit of, coming out of an eventing background, and I would say a very European background where we were trying to control every step of the way, but just to learn to ride forward, trust the horse, and let them think for themselves, and so many other things I learned at Chapeaus, just how to be a horseman, and how to trust the horse, and just being around good people. And then I went on from there. We had an owner that had a horse at Chapeaus, and but actually it was while I was at Chapeaus, I was asked to ride this horse, and went on and had very good results on it, and it ended up being actually a horse that Diana went to a lot of the Marshall and Sterling and finals, and won a lot of those Marshall and Sterling classes. And then I went from there. I got a very good horse called Tornado, which ended up being National Grand Prix League Horse of the Year in '95. And I was very fortunate. I think Nancy Jaffer wrote up an article in for the Chronicle of the Horse at the time, I think it might have been. talking about my journey and winning the National Grand Prix League Horse of the Year on Tornado. And out of that, Sally Glassman reached out to me. I was in New Jersey at the time, to come and take some lessons, and she was the first person to buy me a really good horse called Cruise Missile, who was a real winner in the Grand Prix and brought me up to the top level of the national sport. And then after that, she said to me, can you find a horse that we both could share, that I can do in the amateurs and you could do in the Grand Prix? And we had done that in one other horse. And so Eamon Hughes had mentioned to me, would you have a good owner? Would you have somebody to buy you a good horse? I know of a very special horse that just came for sale in Ireland. And I said, funny enough, Sally asked me to look out for something. So he said, you have to go and try this horse called Carling King. And so I was on a plane a couple of days later, tried the horse. I thought I knew what scope was, but I had no clue what scope was. And I had been jumping Cruise Missile around, the biggest Grand Prix. And I remember Paddy Stove said to me coming out of the ring, I don't know how you do it. How do you get clean rounds out of the horse with no scope? And I was absolutely disgusted. I'm like, how could you think this horse doesn't have scope? So then I realized when I got Carling King that, so Carling King, obviously brought me up through the ranks and got me all the way to the Olympics. And I remember Mark Young here saying, when I first was invited to go to Europe, he said, you're going from the minor leagues to the major leagues now. And it was so true, so I got incredible, he brought me all the way to the top. The 2 European championships, the World Championships, the Olympics, and the year I went to the Olympics, he had won back-to-back Grand Prix here in Wellington, the end of Wellington, and we went over to Europe. He won Le Ball in Europe. Was double clear in lots of Nations Cups. And then I went through a spot where he wasn't jumping well. And right before the Olympics, like leading up to the Olympics, he was having 2 down, 1 down, which he never did. He was like a double clear machine. And then I'm like, oh, I'm so close, and now I've messed everything up. And there was a switch in our chef to keeps, and I said, look, this horse needs a break. Can we give him a break for a while? And could do with a little help from the vets. And so came back, went to our next horse show, jumped great, and then went to the Olympics and was 4th at the Olympics. And so I was very, very fortunate. But so all of this was, I'm getting, inducted into the Hall of Fame in the United States, but I was so proud to do this with an Irish flag on my jacket, but again, it was on an American-owned horse, and I'll never forget that. But I would like to just say thank you to everybody. Thank you for those who inducted me into the Hall of Fame, and it's a very special moment for me, and I'm very honored, and thanks again.
Get our family photo all squared away. Go Ireland. Very nicely done here tonight, Kevin. Thank you very, very much once again. We move into our final two awards this evening, and they are the actual induction ceremony of a horse and a person as part of the class of 2025. Now, before I get to that real quickly, I forgot to hand this out earlier. It's a prototype. It is actually a bobblehead doll. It's a lot smaller than I thought it was, because when I had it designed online, I thought it was huge, big one. But anyways, it's kind of smallish. I'm going to have Marty deliver this, and this is the very first bobblehead of an inductee to Robert Ridlin. Here you go, Robert. Hope you enjoy that, Robert. The rest of them, I'm not sure who's going to be next. Maybe Melanie, David, whatever. We'll find out somebody else. But so the voting process for our Hall of Fame, there are 129 voters, 89 responded. The Hall of Fame has been in existence since 1987. Next year will be our 40th anniversary. There are 109 inductees, 83 people, including this year, 28 horses that are part of the Hall of Fame for our show jumping competitors. We move on to the horse category, and we are very honored tonight to induct our horse named Albany. Just quickly, a couple things before you see a nice video. He was foaled in Oklahoma in 1975. The registered name for the horse was Big Kalex Raglan. I don't know how they came up with that. Thoroughbred, meant for the racetrack, and he was an announcer's dream. And I know all of my fellow announcers in the audience will appreciate it. Had an easy name to pronounce, Albany. So he came named after the capital of New York State, and we have some very special guests that are going to share in the induction. But first off, let's take a look at the video screen for Albany.
Fine-boned and light on his feet, Albany was an amazing horse, both for his performance in the ring and his beautiful personality outside the ring. He was a classic type, a thoroughbred who began his competitive life on the racetrack. His jumping career began with Joanne Kovacs and Jimmy Cohn. Albany was purchased in 1983 by Debbie Dolan. Albany was originally shown at the Grand Prix level by Debbie's trainer, Leslie Burr. With Leslie aboard, Albany was named the American Grand Prix Association Horse of the Year in both 1983 and 1984, and he carried his rider to the AGA Rider of the Year title in 1983. In 1984, the pair won the American Invitational, and they topped the U.S. Olympic trials to secure a spot on the Olympic team. At the 1984 Games in Los Angeles, Albany and the rest of the team made history as the first U.S. team ever to win the Olympic show jumping team gold medal. Following a highly successful career with Leslie in the saddle, Albany continued his successes both nationally and internationally, as Debbie moved up to Grand Prix level of competition. Over the next few years, the new combination won the Cleveland Grand Prix, the Winter Equestrian Festival Challenge Series, and had many, many more notable wins. When Albany's Grand Prix career came to a close, his earnings ranked third in AGA history.
Well, certainly, the names that have been part of the story, including Dan Kelly from up in Troy, New York, Jimmy Kahn from California, Lenahan family, Joanne Kovacs, are all part of the Albany story. Horse was purchased by Debbie Dolan Sweeney back in 1983, and we are very pleased to have the proud owner of Albany with us. She flew all day from California, and as you know, the Dolan family is a big, big family. They had a family reunion that they got her away from here today, and we'd like to escort. Marty's going to bring her up, and again, she flew all the way back just for tonight to accept the induction of Albany. Here's Debbie Dolan Sweeney.
On the first part of the journey, I was looking at all the life. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There was sand and hills.
Is a tremendous honor for Albany. Seeing his name among past inductees, a roll call of remarkable horses, is humbling. And I thank the committee for preserving the history of our sport in this way. Albany stands among the very best, a two-time Horse of the Year and part of a gold medal team. And here's a fun fact. The 1984 Mercedes he won is still running. But when I first heard of this induction, it wasn't trophies I pictured, not at all. I thought of courage. A 7-year-old jumping the American Invitational under the steady guidance of Joanne Kovacs. And then on to the Olympics with Leslie Howard. That partnership, a dream team. I thought of the joy Albany brought to my family as newcomers to show jumping. We were blessed to be part of his career. And thank you to Leslie Howard and Bruce Burr for seeing his potential and inviting the Dolan family along for the ride. For me, Albany gave a personal gift, my first Grand Prix win. I only mention this minor event to highlight the incredible part of this, how one brilliant, kind horse formed an extraordinary partnership with Leslie to reach the very top accolades, and at the same time, even in the same year, guided a newcomer to the joy of the sport. Leslie, you were really brave. Albany was loved by the many dedicated people who cared for him, including Mary Ellen Livingston Moore, David Schneider, his Olympic caretaker, Cheryl Davis, Nancy Snyder, Jean O'Connor, Debbie Salem, I hope I didn't forget people, and Dr. Rick Mitchell, whose commitment sustained Albany's long, successful career. These are the people who made everything possible. And I have not mentioned yet the two people most integral to Team Albany, my mother and father. Albany was the spark for a 4-decade love of horses, including World Cup, World Championship, Olympic, Pan American Gold, and Horse of the Year honors multiple times. However, over all that time, it wasn't ambition, awards, or recognition that drove them. It was a desire to give. To give all those who rode Sagamore horses. Give to all those. Why? Because they wanted to make you smile. They wanted to make you happy. They did this for you, not themselves. Always giving. And Albany started it all. So thank you, Albany, for the memories, the lessons, and the inspiration that have lasted decades after your illustrious career. An unending thank you to all of you who were part of this journey. Thank you.
Welcome to the Hall of Fame, Albany, Debbie Dolan Sweeney. David Snyder, if you want to come up here, we'd like to get you in the picture. Leslie, if you'd like to come up as well. Get you in the picture, and come on up, Les. David, as she mentioned in her speech, this gentleman reappearing on the scene, coming up here. He didn't want to give a speech tonight, believe me. So he was very happy that Debbie joined us. He was the Olympic caretaker for Albany. Of course, here is Leslie Howard. So a nice family portrait. Once again, a round of applause for Albany.
You want just the three?
Of course, we thank Debbie for making that long trip back here for this special award here tonight for the grand finale. And we thank you, David, as well. Good job. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for the grand finale here tonight, we have our special awards as we induct a person into the Show Jumping Hall of Fame. He came from Ireland, came to the U.S. back in 1988. You're going to hear all about that here tonight. Working for Barney Ward at Castle Hill in Brewster, New York, over almost close to 40 years with McLean Ward. We want to take a close look at the video for Lee McKeever.
Originally from Dublin, Ireland, Lee McKeever started his love affair with horses when he was just 12 years old. While still a boy, Lee decided to leave school and found a job as a groom. Lee came to the United States in 1988, then took a job working for Barney Ward at Castle Hill Farm in Brewster, New York. Today, Lee carefully oversees every aspect of caring for more than 30 horses at a time. He has played a key role in the successes of superstar horses such as Sapphire, Rothschild, H.H. Azure, Contagious, High Star Hero, First Lady, and many more. With Lee at his side, McLean Ward has won 13 medals at the Olympic Games, Pan American Games, and World Equestrian Games, as well as the FEI World Cup Finals in 2017, and many major Grand Prix wins in the US and around the world.
He knows the horses better than anybody. He knows how to have their conditioning, their health, how to deal with injuries, prevent injuries. There's never been a moment where I doubted that my horses were in the best of care. It's great to see also how he, over the years, has become really a mentor to a million other grooms, as well as barn managers and riders. You see a constant flow when we're at events of people coming to ask Lee, what do I do for this? How do I handle that? And it just shows the respect level throughout the entire sport.
Just a couple personal notes before we call upon McLean. Of course, I always remember and always will remember Lee as with that twinkle in his eye. Very serious guy, but he still had that little twinkle in his eye. Awesome sense of humor. First one at the jog, no matter what the order was. And of course, he is more tired after a round of McLean Wards than McLean is. Believe it. And I know what we're talking about. Here's someone who is coming up here not as an Olympic gold medalist, but as a leader of the team, the patriarch, the main man at Castle Hill, and probably his best friend. I'd like to introduce McLean Ward, not Lee.
I'm already a bit emotional from the video. First, I'd just like to take a moment. Every year that I come to this event, I have great admiration for the committee and all of the members of the Hall of Fame that make this event happen. It is incredible, important to our sport that we honor our heritage, that we remember the greats that have led the way for us in this sport. And it's important that we don't let these things die out. So, you know, my compliments to you all. Thank you. I also am a great lover of the history of our sport. I grew up idolizing so many of the people in this room, watching all of the greats that I see your faces. And you inspired me, you sent me on my journey. And to be able to make this introduction tonight makes me feel like our story has inspired some others as well. So thank you to all of the Hall of Famers who have led the way. I didn't write much down today. I really felt that I knew this story very well, as most of you do, and I wanted to speak from my heart, because that was far truer than anything I was going to script. I also had to be a little bit careful, not to say anything too controversial or offensive to Lee, because as we know, I've received more than one shiner over the years from some comments that I thought were nothing more than constructive criticism to this day. Hasn't worked out that way always. You know, all of you in this room know a pretty well documented story of our journey together. There have been some really difficult moments. We've had some challenges that we've overcome, and we've had some great, glorious triumphs. But for me, the true story, the foundation of what makes Lee's story and his career so phenomenal is everything in between those moments. It's the hard work and the grit and the determination that saw us through some of those times. He's had my back at every turn. He's been by my side at every victory, and been there for me in every dark moment. So not many people get to say they have a right-hand man and a best friend like that. For me, the people that inspire me the most are game changers. People who, through their work, through the family and life that they build, set the bar, even move the bar. And I find it amazing how our lives come together. How do two young men from very different parts of the world, very different backgrounds, end up lives crossing? Lee came to America as a teenager for a one-year stint from not a very horsey family, Portmarnock, Ireland. Arrived at JFK, and the job that he was going to was not available. And with a quick call to Jimmy Doyle, where's Jimmy in this room? I think he's here. A quick call from JFK. He found a job with Barney Ward, a dear friend of Jimmy's, my father. And I am sure that he assured Lee's parents that all was safe in the land of opportunity. It was all going to work out. I think they were a bit skeptical. I happened to be a 14-year-old young man from a bit of a dysfunctional household, and was looking for a big brother, a companion. And I started spending weekend nights on Lee's floor in his room in the bunkhouse, because for some reason my father's house was always a bit occupied. So the relationship began there. Now I understand that better. Our relationship began there, and it's incredible. 38 plus years later, we're still going strong. And Lee not only built a career, built a beautiful life here in America, raised an incredible family, and has been the cornerstone of our shared success. So it is my great honor to introduce a man who, for me, has set the standard in his chosen profession, who has raised the bar, and most importantly, has changed and improved the lives of people who have worked around him. And that's the true sign of achievement in life. So Lee, the newest inductee to the Show Jumping Hall of Fame, Lee McKeever.
How can I top that? Anyway, I had a couple of little things written down. Long speech, very long. Thank you. To be honest, I'm more comfortable behind the curtain than I am in front of the microphone. What an extraordinary honor this is for me, starting in Dublin, mucking stalls out as a 12-year-old, arriving in America in 1988 to work at Castle Hill Farm for Barney Ward, a chance as an Irish kid who gave a kid an open door that changed my life to induct me into the legendary Hall of Fame. It's been a dream I've imagined, but sorry. He's the talker, I'm the... It's a dream I've imagined, but one built on the backs of great horses and a family I built along the way. To be standing here tonight, joined by many people I respect, is something I could have never imagined. It's a huge honor, and I'm incredibly grateful. The horses that taught me patience, resilience, and with a little luck, we could pull it off in greatness. They gave us everything in the ring, and I take great pride in giving them everything in the barn. The horses have been my greatest teachers. We've been lucky enough to stand in the winner's circle at the biggest events in the world. I think back to Spruce Meadows Masters Grand Prix with Sapphire and the incredible feeling of winning both the World Cup finals and Geneva with HH Dazur. These wins were a result of preparation and shared belief in horses we had. But as much as I enjoyed the gold medals and the trophies, the win that probably meant the most to me was watching my daughter Bailey win the North American Young Rider Championship. Sorry. Tonight, this honor belongs to the family I've built over the 3 decades, a family that includes both people at my home and people in the barn. To my wife, Erica, you've been my rock. This life is complete. This life takes complete commitment, and you've supported us all through it to the end. To McLean, thank you for the absolute trust you placed in me over the 30 years and always rising to the challenges in the ring and always being a true best friend. We have a couple more goals to do, and I can't wait for the memories. Thank you to the Hall of Fame.
I don't think he can hear you, ladies and gentlemen. Lee McKeever. Well, everyone, magnificent nights, honoring the past, present, and future. Your attendance and support tonight means the world to this organization. Remember, show jumping's legacy factory never closes. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
The sun goes down, the stars come out, and all that counts is here and now. My universe will never be the same. I'm glad you came. Cast a spell on me. You hit me like the sky fell on me, and I decided you look well on me. So let's go somewhere no one else can see you and me. Turn the lights out now.